All right, good evening to the Evergreen Park community, and thank you for coming to watch our virtual meet and greet with our incoming superintendent, Dr. Jenna Woodland. I'm really excited that you guys are here, and I think you're gonna love this opportunity to get to know Dr. Woodland. I have her in the waiting room right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and let her in and give her a chance to introduce herself, and then we'll get into some questions that were submitted by community members, parents, and students. So I'm going to let her in right now to introduce herself. All right. Hello, Dr. Woodland.
Hello. How are you tonight, Alex?
Doing great. How are you? We've got some community members eager to get to know you.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So yeah, if you want to just get started with a brief introduction to let everyone know who you are and what brings you here to Evergreen Park.
Absolutely. So my name is Jenna Woodland, and I come here from several years of education experience, but I want to start off with just saying that my background was with my mom being a preschool teacher. And that taught me from a young age about the importance of nurturing kids and educating students. And from there on, I progressed to be into education. And my background is really in teaching and learning. And I would like to argue that the most important thing that we do in a school district is teach kids, right? And I look forward to that continued opportunity here at Evergreen Park.
That's great. So when you were a little kid and someone asked you what you wanted to do, was it always teacher?
For the most part, it was always teacher, but I'll tell you a funny story. I actually went into college as a PR major.
Okay, I can relate.
Yeah, I know. I thought you could relate. And my mom actually was never going to convince me to change my major. That's just not who she is. So I came home from college and she said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to go into PR. And she said, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to go into PR. And she knew in her gut that I was going to change my major. So I went back to school and I was at ISU and I ended up changing my major and I didn't tell her. And I came home from college, like a summer break. And I said, hey, by the way, I changed my major. I'm going to be a teacher. And she instantly started crying. And I think it was because she knew I made the right decision.
Yeah. And then can you kind of talk, I know you went on and you studied education quite a bit, collecting some degrees along the way. Could you maybe just fill the community in with your educational background?
Of course. So I went on to get my master's in curriculum and instruction. And then from there received my type 75 administrative certificate. And that was not enough. I love school. That's just the thing for me. So I ended up going back for my doctorate and received my doctorate in educational leadership. And my focus for my doctoral work was on professional development as it relates to student achievement and teacher practice.
Great.
And then my last degree that I got, my final one was my CSBO. And it's because my background really resides in teaching and learning. But I know there's this whole part of really understanding finance to a school district. And I wanted to enhance my skill set and understanding how the business office works. And that was a great experience for me as well.
And CSBO is Chief School Business Official, right?
That's correct. Thank you.
For everyone out there who doesn't speak school acronyms.
Yes, thank you for helping me with that.
I'm trying to catch on to those as my career advances.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so with all these degrees, you decide to make the jump to become a superintendent. What attracted you to Evergreen Park? Why did you want to be a part of this district?
So I always had all these connections to Evergreen Park, and my in-laws are from Evergreen. They actually owned the Baskin Robbins across the street from the high school, which I saw today for the first time. And my husband grew up in Evergreen. His sister grew up in Evergreen. I have a best friend who lives in Beverly, and her husband worked at Evergreen Park Fire Department. So I've always had all these connections to people that I know and I love and I trust that just drew me to this community. And I knew in my core, in my gut, that it was just my type of people that I wanted to work with and serve on a greater capacity.
Okay. So I've got some follow-up questions, but the first one is, if you go to Baskin Robbins then with your family history, what's your order?
I would have to say that I love cookie dough ice cream.
Cookie dough.
Yeah,
Okay.
if I'm gonna pick. Yes, absolutely. Yep, that would
Okay.
be my pick.
Always a great pick. So, now that you're starting your transition and you'll be officially starting July 1st, correct?
Yes.
What are some of your top priorities?
One of my main priorities is really visibility, transparency, and communication, ensuring that all stakeholders have a part and a voice in conveying what they believe would be best for our organization. And really all of us collectively together, pulling on the same rope, working towards the same goals, and making sure we all understand why we're making the decisions that we are.
That's great. I think that'll be very welcomed here. And I think just the idea of all of us being on the same team will be very well received.
That's wonderful.
So it's to kind of bring up some more fun questions before we get into anything too serious.
Good.
So you talked a lot about your background in education and some of the jobs you've had. Can you maybe tell us about your very first job before you were a teacher or working in schools?
Okay, my very first job. I worked in a banquet hall. That's what I did. I had to think about it for a minute. So I worked in a banquet hall, and it was actually Colonial Banquet Hall, and I was a server. So I learned a lot about customer service, and I did that with two of my good friends. I vividly remember them and working with them, and a great company, great organization.
Okay. It's funny to see how far your career has come since then.
Yes, I was 15 when I had my first job.
15, wow. And then just to backtrack a bit, I don't think can you take the community through your career at Troy and how you came from a teacher to, I believe, instructional coach and moving on up along?
Yes, of course. So I actually started off as a teacher, and everyone should know that because it is near and dear to my heart. I think teaching is one of the hardest professions out there. Being in the education field is one of the hardest professions out there. And, we shape our future. That's what we do every day. And I had experience in first grade and fifth grade. I spent most of my time in fifth grade. I started off being both a reading and math teacher, and then progressed on to being an instructional coach at the K-4 level. That was actually my favorite job. I don't know, I should announce that, but I really loved that job. And I think I really loved that job because it taught me early on in my career how much I loved learning from other teachers and other staff working with kids, and that it really ensured that I was on the right path in my career.
Great. You can tell. You keep saying teaching and learning, so you can tell where your passion lies.
Yes, kids, teaching and learning.
So back to a couple of fun questions. Here's one. If you could only have 3 apps on your smartphone, which would you pick?
Okay, everyone should know I am really very bad at directions. So one of the first apps that I always open up is Google Maps, and that's to ensure that I get to where I go and on time. So I use that every day, and Gmail, because I communicate on Gmail all the time. And then text message, would that count as an app?
We'll count it.
Okay. And I like Audible too, if you don't want to count it, to listen to
Okay.
on tape and things of that nature. So
anything interesting you're listening to right now?
I just ordered a book. It was a paper book too, because I still like to read paper books. And the book was called Blended. I'm forgetting what the author is at the moment, but it's about this concept of in-person and remote teaching, and really speaks to our current reality. So I'm excited to dive into that.
That's great. And then as far as the directions, I think you might find it easy here with our schools. They're cleverly named like a compass. So maybe that'll help you find your way around with the north, south, east, and west.
That's a good idea. That's
Yeah.
a very good idea.
Okay, and then one last fun one. It's important to people around here. Cubs or Sox?
Oh my gosh. You're already going to make me pick sides?
I think you have to on this part of town.
Okay. Oh boy. So I am going to say that I'm a Sox fan, but I have to back it up.
Okay.
So my dad grew up in Bridgeport, and so I really had no choice to be a Sox fan. So yes, I am a Sox fan, but I appreciate the Cubs. I'm not one of those like angry people with like, I only like one team or the other.
So are you saying there's a chance we could we could have you switch sides?
Not a chance, probably.
Not a chance. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, then let's move on into some questions submitted from the community. So the first one, someone had asked, what's one of the achievements that you're most proud of in your career?
One of the achievements that I'm most proud of in my career is the relationships that I've built with staff, and that would be, again, teachers. And my work with teachers is just super important to me. And being in classrooms, I love being in classrooms and making connections, again, with kids and teachers, and being rooted in the work that the people are doing every single day and staying connected to that. That's really important to me. And
Great.
I'm proud of that.
You should be. Okay, the next couple questions I have are submitted from students. So I'm going to share my screen and we have some video clips.
Okay. This is exciting.
All right, are you seeing my screen?
I am.
Okay, this is the first one's from Anthony. He's a first grader at Northeast.
Hi, Miss Vivian. I was just asking that why did you want to be a superintendent?
So if you couldn't make that out, Anthony was asking, why did you want to be a superintendent? I know you kind of touched on it a little bit already, but maybe if you want to go a little deeper.
Oh my gosh, Anthony is so adorable. I want to hug Anthony. He's so cute. So I just believe that the superintendency is a calling that you have. And it was a calling of mine to be a teacher, and that transpired over time. And it was a calling to me to now be a superintendent and serve a community on a bigger capacity. And yes, my title might look a little bit different, but I again believe that I'm just a teacher at heart. That's who I am. That's what I believe in. And it's my everyday why. It's what gets me out of bed every single morning. And I had the opportunity at one point to leave education. And I just knew that it wasn't for me. And I never would feel fulfilled in my everyday life if I wasn't working with kids.
That's great to hear. Just reassuring that you are a great pick for us.
Thank you.
All right, let's get another question from the kids. That's who people really want to hear from, right?
Yeah, no kidding. He was really cute.
All right, let's see what we got next.
Hi, my name is Michael Tracy, and I would like to ask Dr. Woodland if we could get Baracos on Wednesdays instead of the other pizza.
Oh my God. That's like a trap question.
Sorry.
I would love to say yes to that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I would love to say yes to that. We can have Baracos every Wednesday, but I probably can't say yes to that. I definitely think, though, that there's a way, maybe on special events, that we can integrate some celebrations, and it would include Baracos pizza.
Okay. Have you had the chance to have any Evergreen Park pizza yet?
I have. I've had three. I think three pretty popular ones: Palermo's,
Okay.
Baracos, and Rosie's. I've had all three, and I'm not picking sides. There's no way.
Well, at least we know you're doing your research on the school and the community.
And the food, yes.
Yeah. That's important. Okay, so let's shift back to some more that were questions asked from parents.
Okay.
So some community members want to ensure that the needs of students are met in terms of staffing. So can you maybe talk about how you plan to address student needs moving forward?
Of course. I think everything that we do in a school district should really be focused around what's best for kids and ensuring that we're always making decisions that's rooted in what's best for the district, and then also taking into consideration what's financially responsible of our taxpayer money. And so taking in that into account, we want to ensure that we're, again, making decisions on what's best for our organization and what's best for our kids moving forward. And I can already tell it's 100% apparent to me that the decisions that are being made here are grounded in what's best for an organization. And that's another reason that Drew meets Evergreen Park.
Great. And then on a similar note, we heard from some families who are seeking more diversity among our staff members. Can you just kind of share your thoughts on this and how potentially we could add more diversity to the team?
Yes. So first, I think we need to acknowledge that this is not an issue that's specific to Evergreen Park, but really something that's a national issue. But how in which we approach it might look a little bit different in Evergreen. So first, I want to do my research like anything else. I want to see where we've been, what we've tried, and what's potentially worked, and how we can potentially increase our recruiting and hiring practices and ensure that we're approaching it the best possible way for Evergreen Park specifically. And then I also had this idea about this grow your own program. And that's really this concept of really working with your community and people who reside in your community who maybe potentially want to work for you in Evergreen Park, District 124, and promoting them to potentially go back to school to be a teacher and address a teacher shortage at the same time and provide the college credits that they need to be successful. And then also groom our administrators as they progress moving forward as well. So just some thoughts and ideas that I have.
Those sound like great ideas, and I think our community and staff would be very receptive to something like that.
And of
And
course,
again-
I want to hear everyone else's ideas. So if anyone has ideas for me, I'm always open to them.
So your research isn't just on the pizza, you actually are digging deep into the school district.
I am trying very, very hard to learn everything I can about Evergreen Park.
All right, now let's go back and pull some more student questions.
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to bring the video back up.
Okay, great.
Hello, my name is Anthony. I am a 5th grader at Southeast School, and my question is, what are the after-school activities gonna be?
So I know that one was a little windy. He was asking, especially with COVID happening right now, he was asking about what after-school activities might look like moving forward.
Okay, that's a great question. So I would have to ask him some questions. What activities does he want to have back at Evergreen Park? And really ensure that no matter what, everything that we do, we're taking into account the safety of students first, so that they can engage in activities that are appropriate and still providing them the opportunities to be successful. I'm big on activities. That's my philosophy. And I'll tell you, when I was in high school, I tried the athletics route. Everyone should know that. It wasn't for me. And then I went into speech and theater and debate and did all of those activities and really found my own. And I think it creates an environment for kids to really learn who they are and where they want to go in their futures, and provides peer collaboration that allows them to be success'll.
That's great. I know a lot of our kids are missing, because of COVID, they're missing those opportunities. So I'm sure they'll love to hear that there'll be something out there for them soon.
Yes, fingers crossed, right?
Fingers crossed. All right, let's bring up the next one.
Hi, my name is Sam, and I would like to ask Dr. Woodland what their plans for the lockers are next year.
So just a little background, at Central this year, again, because of COVID, they're not using their lockers. So he was just wanting to know what the plans might be next year.
So lockers, they're so important to kids, aren't they? They get their own space, they get their own place to put all their materials every morning. And again, we just have to make sure that kids are safe. And that's our number one goal each and every day, is that they're safe. And my hope is that he gets to use his locker next year and that we can provide that opportunity to kids.
Great. All right, let's do one more from our students.
They're asking some good questions.
Hi, my name is Anaya. My question for Dr. Woodland is, what is your plan for the dress code next year?
There's another popular one for you with kids, the dress code.
She just gave me my very first homework assignment. That's what she did. So that would be to, again, research what's our current practices with our dress code and ensure that I have history on where that came from and making sure that, again, it's established for a reason. And if anything, we explain to our students, why is this dress code in place? So that they have an understanding of why that exists in their everyday life.
I think that goes transparency. It's on a lot of what you've already said, but just like explaining will go a long way and making sure the kids are aware.
Yes. And I have a dress code today, right? We still do in our everyday lives, but now I understand it a little bit better. And that's because somebody explained it to me in the course of my learning experience.
Right, right. Okay, so a couple more that came in from parents. What's something that you like in your current school district that you're hoping to bring here to Evergreen?
Something that I like in my current school district was the amount of professional development that I have done with teachers and staff that would be both certified and non-certified. And we created almost like an internal university. And that university is just course offerings for teachers and staff, non-certified staff, to sign up for and receive additional learning opportunities that they maybe potentially want to receive new information on. So an example of that, right now we're running a foundational skills class, or we might run something on conversational Spanish, but it gives our teachers and staff opportunities to learn and grow and partner together.
That sounds great. I think that'd be a great thing for you to bring over.
Thank you.
And then the next one is related to COVID again. So there's just a lot of unknowns right now with COVID and going into questions about next year. You know, can you tell us anything about what you're thinking or planning as far as the 2021-22 school year?
Well, first, I just have to applaud Evergreen Park for this school year and the amount of work that I've seen each and every staff member put into dedicating the opportunities for kids to return to in-person learning and still have the option for remote learning. And it was apparent to me that it was a focused decision, again, on what's best for kids and making sure that that's always at the forefront of our mind. At this moment, as always, we're still awaiting some guidance from the state, but it is my goal to include our stakeholders and what that will look like and ensure that we have a smooth transition into next school year.
Great. Of course, there's unknowns, but based on everything you're saying today, I'm confident we'll be in good hands.
Thank you.
All right, let me switch back. We're going to go 2 more questions from our kids. And I have to say this next question I think is my favorite.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Alana Wheeler. I would like to ask Dr. Woodland if we can do something better for Black History Month and implement it into our education system.
So she asked, if you didn't hear, she asked about Black History Month and how we could celebrate it here in District 124.
And integrate it into our curriculum, which is a wonderful idea. So I absolutely, we should evaluate how we can do that best. And I definitely think kids should be a part of that process. Like if she's bringing that to us, how can we include her voice and what is best for our curriculum in terms of diversity and multicultural studies and ensuring that our kids have opportunities to learn. Something that I've done this year with one of my instructional coaches is have a multicultural book study, and our teachers read the books together. And then we determine where in the curriculum these books best lie. And we're not just studying one curriculum or one culture, we're looking at it from a variety of aspects.
That's great. Well, we'll have to get her and some of her classmates back in here as we start looking at how to make decisions moving forward.
These kids are asking great questions. I want to write each of them notes saying thank you.
So this last one is, you're going to see 2 kids back to back asking similar questions about a popular subject.
Okay.
Hi, Dr. Woodland. I was wondering if we could have more time at recess.
Hi, I'm Tatum. I'm a 5th grader at Southeast School, and my question is, can we have recess in middle school?
So recess, always at the top of the minds of kids.
I mean, it's so important though. Kids need the opportunity to have a break in their day, and recess is part of that. And there is actually a lot of research to support that kids need opportunities to play with their peers, especially at a young age, and even more so at a developmental age where they're really learning how to interact with others. So I will write that down, especially the middle school one for our new principal, Mr. Swilly, and share that with him and see what we can do.
Great, great. Well, that's all the questions we have for today.
Okay.
We had opened a forum for parents to submit. So thank you to everyone who did that. And thank you, Dr. Woodland, for coming on today.
Well, thank you so much. That was wonderful. And I just want to say that I am humbled and honored to serve as the next superintendent at Evergreen Park. It is been such a welcoming place for me. I've been able to do some transition work and meet teachers and meet staff. And this is my first opportunity to really introduce myself to the community. And I'm hopeful that I could do something more in person this summer and have more of an opportunity to meet people face to face during these unique times. I was trying to find a way with Alex's help to ensure that you got to know me a little bit better personally and professionally.
Great. Well, we'll do our best to keep the community informed of if we are able to hold an in-person event coming up this summer. Until then, if you have any questions for Dr. Woodland, feel free to reach out to anyone in the district and we'll get those answered for you.